Another way to control welding hazards is to provide protection to personnel who are in and around the welding worksite. For example, to inform workers of welding hazards in an area, warning tape and signs are commonly used. In most cases, though, it's not enough to just warn personnel that welding hazards exist. To prevent accidental exposure to the hazards, barriers are set up. In most situations, the welding area is enclosed by a welding curtain or screen. Also, most job sites require the use of a hot work permit whenever welding is done. A hot work permit is an official authorization from the worksite's manager to perform work that may pose a fire hazard. The permit includes information such as the time, location, and type of work being done. In any case, it's always good practice to keep firefighting equipment available whenever welding is done. In addition, to help reduce the chance of electrical shock, it's important for all of the equipment that's used for a welding job to be properly grounded. Providing good ventilation is another good way to protect the welder and any other personnel who may be near an area where welding is being done. Good ventilation replaces any hazardous fumes in the work area with fresh air and may help to cool the work area. Depending on the situation, good ventilation may be provided by simply welding in an open area or by setting up a fan. However, some conditions may require the use of either a fume extractor to ensure good venting or a respirator that will either purify the air that the welder breathes or supply the welder with fresh air. Depending on the welding job and the requirements in place where you work, you need to make sure that you're wearing clothing that is appropriate for the job and the proper equipment to provide protection from the hazards associated with welding. For example, wear a long-sleeved cotton shirt. Your shirt should be thick enough to prevent penetration by invisible radiation, and any pocket should have buttoned flaps. The sleeve should be rolled down and buttoned to protect your arms. Work pants should be long and tightly woven to protect against radiation, sparks, and hot metal. They should be cuffless and worn outside of high-top boots. Your footwear should be made of leather and have steel toes. In addition to wearing a flame-resistant cap and safety glasses, using leather gear will protect your torso and arms from sparks, flying debris, and radiant energy. Wearing earplugs will protect you from noise in the work area. Your welding helmet should have a hard shell and both a clear lens and the proper grade of shaded lens. The gloves you wear for welding should be made of leather. Gauntlet-type gloves cover both your hands and your wrists. Based on what we've covered here, it should be easy to see that there's a big difference between being able to weld and being able to weld safely. Now would be a good time to try a question to check your understanding of what it takes to keep any welding job a safe welding job. In this topic, we covered some of the basic concepts underlying arc welding. We also went over some of the hazards associated with arc welding, as well as some methods of protection that welders can use to control those hazards. Now would be a good time to try some practice questions on this material. In this part, we're going to describe 4 main welding machine characteristics: the type of welding current the machine produces, the type of output the machine produces, its source of power, and its duty cycle. It's important for a welder to be familiar with welding machine characteristics. That's because a welder uses these characteristics to identify and specify the particular type of welding machine that is needed for a job. And since all arc welding machines rely on electricity to operate, it's important for you to be familiar with basic electrical concepts too.